should have been receiving a war widow's pension. It comes to quite a tidy sum.
Oh, it's my Eddie.
It's a sign from my angel. What's he going to do?
I'm going to buy a dress. A Christian Dior from Paris.
You know, what a lot of people do not know is that many movies that were supposed to be made end up being put down for whatever reasons. And there were some challenges during making of Miss Harris Goes to Paris as well, right?
Absolutely. We started pre-production on this film in January of 2020. And in March of 2020, suddenly the world came to a standstill. The COVID pandemic hit, and we had to stop production, stop pre-production. We hadn't started filming yet. And, you know, obviously we were all fearful that production might never resume. But by July of that year, it looked like things were easing up a bit. Some of the restrictions began to ease and countries began to open up again, and we began to push for the possibility of shooting. And we were very lucky that we chose Hungary as our main location, because you probably don't remember, but Hungary had the fewest caseload of any European country at that time, and therefore the fewest restrictions, so we were able to fly people in and out of the country. And we applied very strict COVID protocols throughout production, so we never actually had to shut down filming. We were very, very, very lucky in that respect. And by the time we needed to film in London and Paris as well, a lot of the restrictions had been lifted. So we kind of dodged COVID all the way through, and the film took perhaps a bit longer than it would have done had COVID not been there. But here we are, the other side, releasing the film, and people are back in the cinema. And so we hope this is the right moment for people to enjoy the film.
Actually, I felt like this is exactly what we need right now. But then I was thinking, wait a second, I feel like the world is constantly in chaos. And I was wondering, as a filmmaker, are you considering the state of the world while you are making a movie? Like, are you able to put out this movie, or is it not the right time to show people a feel-good movie?
I think you'll find that movies are often in opposition of what's happening in the world. So during periods of great economic boom and everything is going really well, filmmakers feel that they have a license to explore darker subjects and more difficult subjects and more painful subjects. Conversely, when the world is going through extremely difficult times, we have war, climate change, all the things that are stopping us from sleeping at night. What audiences crave is escapism, and filmmakers naturally, instinctively go towards things that will give people a little bit of a rest from their daily troubles.
Do you have a lucky charm?
I do, and it actually came from the set. I was given a penny from 1945, which Mrs. Harris flips on the bridge early on. And I kept that penny in my pocket throughout production. I kept it with me at every major opening and event around the film. I had it with me for the premiere in London last night. So I'm afraid I've become as superstitious as Ada when it comes to lucky charms. And so far it's worked.
Awesome. Yeah, Mrs. Harris is a dreamer, and she's always looking for signs that help her making decisions. Are you a dreamer or rather a realist?
I am a realistic dreamer. So I have my feet planted on the ground, but I think you can't be a filmmaker without having dreams and aspiring for the impossible, because how do you get people to get inside your head and share a vision and dig very deep into their pocket to make that vision possible if you don't have very big dreams and convey those dreams to others? So I think dreaming is so important to keep people inspired, happy, and full of the possibilities of life. I think if you lose your dreams, you lose everything.
What is a dream that you had for a very long time and you achieved it?
Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
No way.
No, truly, I've been trying to make this film for 12 years, in fact. And my dreams, came through in bits and pieces. The fact that we went into production, that was the first dream come true. And then having our opening in the United States, having a phenomenal company like Focus Features and Universal distributing the film, that was absolutely a dream come true. And then seeing the posters of Mrs. Harris on the side of London buses, another dream come true. And then, of course, our wonderful London premiere. So these are all several dreams that have come true thanks to Mrs. Harris happening. But I suppose it all really began when I was on the set of my first feature film, Skin, in 2007. And, I had to pinch myself. This was my lifelong dream and it had become a reality.
How did you feel afterwards?
To be honest, I still feel completely confused. I don't know how I feel because the story is ongoing. And I don't know what the conclusion of this story is yet. We have several more months of release across the world. There's the awards season coming up. And I think I won't know what the final reckoning is for at least another 8 months. So maybe ask me that question again in 8 months' time.
All right. I am not sure if Alba's character really said that, because in that particular moment, I had to sneeze. So maybe you can help me. There was this conversation between her and Ava. She said something like, there's a certain feeling of emptiness after a show. And that hit me hard because I can totally relate to it, because I would call it like the after show blues or whatever, because I tend to feel empty after I was working towards a huge project and then it was done and I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Can you relate?
I think any performer can relate to that feeling of emptiness after an incredibly adrenaline-driven experience, which a fashion show certainly is. And fashion is almost the most intense expression of that, because for months, the fashion houses, the models, everybody is preparing for this event. And I don't know if you've been to a modern fashion show, but unlike the days of Christian Dior when they lasted for 2 hours, a modern show lasts for about 3 minutes. And you can just imagine all of those months that have gone into creating the collection that are gone after 3 minutes. And so what happens after a modern fashion show is that everybody meets and greets backstage afterwards and congratulates everybody. And then the congratulations and the celebrations go on for the whole day, because you need all day to avoid that feeling of blues after your 3-minute show is over. So yes, I suppose you're absolutely right to have spotted that moment for Alba.
How do you deal with failure?
I take a deep breath and I remind myself that tomorrow is another day and there's always an opportunity to turn that failure into a success.
Okay, last question. We have this beautiful hashtag. It's called Film is Love. And I would ask you to replace the word love with your own word. So film is ...
Oh, gosh, one word. That's so cruel. Film is dreams.
Thank you so much, and see you in 8 months.
Thank you.